So they're giving the carp KHV.
Yeah.
What I now think is, when you put all this bait out,
What did you learn about his style?
I don't find Burghfield to be like that. To me, it's very much more like a game of chess. What I find with them is, I can't get it out of my head watching those fish just...
Yeah, he's an older school angler, but he's not stuck in his ways in any sense, is he? He's
No.
not.
But in the last 5 or 6 years, mate, it's been very, very, very hard to do things that nobody has done in fishing.
Yeah, because you're always looking at member feedback.
Yeah.
And we've got some conflicting feedback. The reason for cancellation is the background music. It's too loud, mate.
You can catch every carp in the country. None of them will ever be what that carp is.
This stuff should be recorded before it's too late.
Yeah, he's one of those high energy people I love, and I feed off them sort of people so much.
Does that make him difficult to film? Nash Bait have just announced that they're closing Nash Bait.
Yeah, really fond memories. I can still smell that bait now. Mate. I can
It's
still
Monster
smell...
Pursuit for me.
Yeah.
I'm a bit older than you, and it is, the smell of some of those boilies is evocative, isn't it?
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but whilst I have your attention, I just want to talk about a couple of things. Firstly, would you please subscribe to our YouTube channel? We would massively appreciate it, and you will stay very much up to date with everything YouTube orientated that we do. Secondly, and as well as asking you for a little favour, we have a little something that might be of interest to you. If you click the link in description or scan the QR code on screen, you will be entitled to 50% off your first 3 months as a Cypography member. And as a Cypography member, you will get access to over 1,000 videos and several other member perks.
We're filming this quite soon after our last one, which is quite good for us. We've been quite organised.
Yep.
And the last time we spoke, you were heading off to the Fishin show, Scott Lloyd's new venture at Linear. How was it?
It was good. You know, as I kind of alluded to last time around, I was quite looking forward to it. But Scott did a really good job. I think if you run an event like that, where you've got lots of people involved, lots of people relying on you to put on a good show, you have to. And I think Scott did. You know, he pulled out all the stops. Food was good. Everything was good, really. But a big marquee, slideshows of an evening. They had a bar, little dance floor. Yeah, good grub. It was a good event, and it was managed well. I'm not just saying that because Scott's my friend. I genuinely think he did a really good job of it. A better job of it than I kind of thought he might do, and that's nothing against Scott, of course. I was impressed. I think everyone was by what was available and how it was all set up, and of course everyone had a good time, caught lots of carp. So yeah, shout out to Scott because he did a good job. He really did.
I'm intrigued. I didn't manage to get down there. It's not a million miles from where I live, but I had other things on that weekend. What's the sort of crossover between the fishing side of things and the socialising side of things? People wanting to go for the slideshows, some people wanting to go for a beer and a dance maybe, but also some people who are probably don't want to leave their peg and want to, use that time to fish somewhere they might not have fished before. How did that sort of merge together?
I think I get the vibe that everyone got involved in the evenings. So what would happen is, come I think about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, dinner time. That's one way to get everyone out there swim if you want your food. I think they brought breakfast round stuff in the morning, but dinner, was in the marquee, or outside the marquee actually. You had a proper catering set up there. So people turn up, they have their dinner. Straight after that was the slideshows, and there was beer on sale and all that sort of stuff. So I think when you're at that kind of event and you're told that kind of stuff's going to happen, not to involve yourself in it and not to go and have a drink, have some food and watch the slideshow, it's kind of a bit pointless. So I feel like the people that were there were probably geared up and ready for that and obviously made the most of it. And the slideshows were good. You had a good lineup, good stories told. Yeah, like I say, it was all round. It was a good event. Everyone was in good spirits and they caught lots of carp. And I think when you combine all of those things, you could all go fishing as a social, but it's not really a social because you're spread around the lake. Throw in a nice bit of food, throw in a slideshow, throw in some music, give everyone a reason to let their hair down a little bit. Don't get me wrong, like during the days, fishing was the focus. During the night, fishing was the focus. But that evening period, early enough, I should say, to be able to go there, have your dinner and whatnot, then go back and get the rods out. That's obviously quite an important thing. But yeah, it was just a good mix of different things at a good venue. It was at Brasenose. It was on one and two. It was on, and I think I get the impression everyone loved it. You know, he's already got tickets on sale again now. First come first serve, I believe, for people that attended first time around. I think it's probably the sort of thing that will grow in popularity, because if you do go to it, I doubt you're going to come away from that thinking that wasn't very good. You know, I certainly didn't, and the vibe I got, like I say, was that everyone had a good time.
What sort of people go to that? What type of angler is it? Is it a bit cliquey? Is it mates of Scott and you? Is it people who are right at the beginning of their carp angling journey? Is it a mix?
No, it wasn't. It's not mates of us. Obviously, the anglers, there was, so you had anglers floating around. Tom Aker was there. I was there. Scott, Rob Burgess, other people. I'm sure I can't really remember off the top of my head. But so we were sort of floating around, mixing with people, helping them if they needed it. Some people needed it more than others, I suppose.
Yeah.
You're always going to get that. But I think it was very much, I don't want to say a tutorial based thing. That wasn't it. The vibe was not that. But I do get the impression that most people wanted to go there. They do want to talk to you, pick up a few bits and pieces and have a laugh all at once. So not a typical tutorial where you're just drilling for information all the time. Not a typical social where you're just getting pissed and having a laugh. A bit of take a bit from each aspect of a slideshow, of a social and a tutorial, throw it all together, and that's kind of what you have there with that show. Yeah. So, you know, it's called the Fishin show. I wouldn't say show is the best word, if you know what I mean. If you think carp show, the Fishin show is not like that. You know, I think it is fishing. That is at the heart of it all. Fishing with a bit of fun thrown in, I suppose.
Yeah. Sounds good. In terms of fishing, you've literally, as we record, got back from Burghfield this afternoon or late this morning. You've got the buzz, haven't you? Tell me about your latest Burghfield session.
Yeah, so I started on there. So I've been editing and stuff a lot this year. I think I've already mentioned this, but at the start of the year, I nearly didn't rejoin. I knew that this year I was going to be really busy. A lot has changed in my life, and I kind of thought, well, maybe don't bother. Then I did. I've missed a lot of the year for various reasons, but I was actually, I was on a shoot. I was talking to Luke Stevenson, and I said to him, I was like, mate, I can't. I just haven't got the time to be there. I'm flat out editing all the time, and I can't see when I'm next going to go. And he said to me, he was like, can't you just do your work from the bank? And my initial reaction was no, because the editing that I do is not the same. Certain work I can do from the bank, editing, not so much. But because I was on an underwater shoot, as I said that, I sort of looked in front of me. I've got cameras everywhere, generators on, screens here, there and everywhere. And I thought to myself, well, it's kind of not true what I've just said. I can do my work from the bank, should I wish to. So that afternoon, it got really hot, 30 odd degrees, and I laid down in my bed chair and I started to Google things and sort of scrolling on my phone. I need a second screen. I have to have two screens for my editing. I can't work off that laptop. My computer in the office is big and I have another big screen next to it. It's, like I say, it's not the same as photo editing or emails and stuff like that. It's way more involved, way more power. But eventually I came to a solution really where I could buy this, buy that, cut a few things up. And I came back to the office after that shoot. I'd ordered my screen. I got it for 56 quid, which I thought was bloody cheap. You can't get much for 56 quid these days, especially when you're talking anything to do with a computer. But I got my second screen. I adapted one of my batteries, bought a few bits and pieces, made some cables to get everything running properly, because my laptop and stuff, it takes a lot of power, more than... So I got all that together, and then I thought, right, I'll take my desk or the table that I use for underwater, and I'll take the gazebo that I use for underwater, and I'll take that to Burghfield, which on paper is not the best idea because it's not the kind of lake you want to be doing that sort of thing. But I was faced with what's happened this year. Like for the last few years, the common has been very much elusive, let's say that. Hardly any, hardly any sightings, definite sightings. It's since transpired this year that the odd person had maybe seen it. But at the time, it was all kept very... So that really there was like... The word was no one has 100% ID'd it for a couple of years. Whereas this year, whilst I've not been there, it's been seen so many times. I think because the bait boats were banned and the pressure has kind of eased. It's still busy, but the pressure around the lake, you don't have the laser beams everywhere that the carp are swimming into, getting scared of. They're not getting pushed out. And in turn, it's been seen. So I'm sat at home most of this year thinking, oh, it's going to get caught any day. Of all the years, for it to be doing this is the 1 year of the last 3 where I can't be there all the time, because the previous years I've been there a lot. And with all those sightings, it's when you put that much effort into a place, when that sort of thing starts happening, and with a carp that gets caught so little, you're thinking, well, if I miss this opportunity, it's gone for probably a foreseeable, like for the foreseeable future. So I made a decision, like I say, to get all these bits and pieces together. And my first trip, I went onto a swim called Barnett's. Luckily, in the spring, they kind of opened it up. It was actually quite a small swim. Most of the swims are small on there. But I went round to Barnett's. First of all, I took my fishing kit on my barra, dropped it all off, went back round, picked up my table, my gazebo, my chair, and there was a 35 mile an hour wind, and the point that I was fishing on the end of is kind of it's the intersection between the main body of water and the end of all the islands, and the wind was hacking through there. So I set this thing up on my own, which was hard. It just about fit. I had to have the sides of it open so you could get in and out of the swim, but I set my table up. I had a mare, to be quite honest. The water's really low. I'm sure that you're seeing this as well.
Yeah, all over, yeah.
I think we've really struggled with rain this year, and in turn we're struggling with water in the lake. So the water's really low. And really that session, I got lots of work done because I have to. This is the other thing. A lot of the time in the past, I'm working from the bank, but I can still get my fishing done. I can kind of pick things up, put things down, and I can just make it work. Editing is not like that.
Yeah.
You've got to be doing long, solid days.
I've never edited from the bank. I've got your initial concern, so I'm intrigued to hear, because I do edit. I want to edit on a desktop with a big screen, more RAM, more power.
Yes.
On a laptop, people listening might not be aware, on a laptop it's just not really possible. So no. I'm intrigued, if you've made it work.
It wasn't, but with proxy files and stuff like that, there's ways of making it work. And like I said, I've made sure to do that. I tested everything at home first, bought new bits and pieces to make sure it was as good as it could be. Don't get me wrong, it's not as easy as my computer at home, but it's doable. So I spent a lot of that trip really sort of tucked away in the gazebo, which was a bit weird, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want to be at the lake doing my work particularly. I'd much rather not do that. But when your options are do not go fishing or do go fishing and take your work with you, I'm going to choose one thing, especially this time of year. The weather has been really hot throughout the summer, which that common is known to like. And with the sightings, I was thinking, it's going to come out. But obviously I've turned up at a time of year. You don't want to turn up to a lake like Burghfield midsummer, once everyone's lodged in their swims, been baiting. I've not been in that position where you almost feel like a new member. You can't tread on people's toes. I've got lots of people that I get on well with there. They're they're friends. And as much as it was really good to be back, quite quickly I thought, I've kind of got my work cut out here. Literally got my work cut out. Not only have I got to try and get something going in a certain area, but I've got to deal with this as well. So my first trip, I didn't get as much done as I needed to really in terms of work, because I'm trying to find my feet. The weed's up, haven't fished the swims, it's very different. No bait boats now, you fish, it's just all very different. But I call it the monstrosity, which is the gazebo. So I had the monstrosity up. I fished as hard as I could. I kind of prioritised the fishing. So I thought, well, if I get a foundation in place, if you get it done early, from that point onwards, you do the hard work at the start, you can build from there. if you try to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, that will drag on over 4 or 5 trips and you end up getting nowhere. You get nothing done. You don't achieve anything in terms of work or the fishing. So I made that call and I just did as much of each as I felt necessary. But because of the water level, the area I was in, I was getting real problem with the swans. It's very shallow anyway. Normally there are areas and bits of water, pockets within that area that are deep enough, and everything's okay. Because the water's down this year, not only did the swans, there's about 20 swans on there at the moment, not only do they relentlessly bump your lines during the night, where they feed on the top of the weed, they constantly bump your lines. And with the nature of the lake, when you're fishing tight lines, with buoys everywhere, Barnett's where I was, there's more buoys in that area than anywhere else on the lake. They're all really close. And really, a kiting fish in one direction or another, you know, you're never really safe there. It's fine if you know, if you've got a rod in your hand, it's different. But 1 beep, 2 beeps with a tight line, braid, that can be enough for something to kite. Unlikely, because it's weedy and you're going to get more indication. But going to bed at night, you're not thinking, oh, if I get 2 beeps or 1 beep, I'm not going to do anything about it. So the swans kept me up pretty much all night. I woke up after my first night and I knew it'd been happening. I woke up in the morning, mate, and my eyes were so red. My friend Chris came round and he was like, have you got hay fever? I was like, no, mate, my eyes are so sore. And I don't think I'd slept anywhere near as, I knew I hadn't slept well, but I think I'd slept a lot worse than I first realised. Second night was exactly the same. And Rich said to me while I was there, he's like, every time I speak to you, it feels like something goes wrong. And the lake is kind of like that. It's just always something. But the second night, I got everything sorted. I was really happy, got my rods out. Then the speedboat came out randomly at about 7:30. So I had to redo all my rods. I'd cleared channels in the weed. They all got back filled in again. So I redid the rods. One of the areas, the speedboat comes really close to it. And I'm sitting there thinking, is that going to wash my bait? I knew it was shallow. So then I've had to rebait. After I've rebaited, swans have turned up. And I didn't really care, because swans generally, they'll dive. I always say they dive. They don't dive. They dip down, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They dip down. If they can't reach the bottom, generally they're not that persistent, not like some birds that just, so they've dipped their heads down and I thought, they can't get me out there. Obviously, I don't know how deep it is. I haven't put a marker float out on this area because I'd fished it in the past. I knew it was shallow, but they kept doing it. And then I'm sitting there, and it's nearly dark at this point, and I'm like, they're eating bait because they wouldn't go. Then another one.
They'd move on if.
So that area, it's kind of the main area really. It's fished by a lot of people. It's sort of one of the main known spots in that area. But one of very few spots as well, I should add. So they picked me up, or I was getting these bleeps that were kind of a bit too savage for, I was getting lots of single beeps, and then every now and then I'd get like and I'm thinking, have I been picked up there? Either way, I was under the impression I needed to recast before it got dark. So then I had to do that, so I had to recast again, and then I had to rebait again in the dark, once they'd eaten everything. So that's now the second time I've baited that spot in a matter of hours. Got the rods back out, started baiting in the dark, and then the swans just started coming back. Because they're white, I just saw them just start, and I thought, that'll do. So I think I only got about 5, 6 bombs out. Went to bed, bleeps all night again, woke up in the morning, hooked a swan. So, and interestingly, obviously I had to get the swan back to the bank.
Never fun.
No, but all the other swans came with it. Every single one of the 20 odd swans, all of them swam over to the margin with it. And as I was about to unhook him, he shook his head and the hook came out in the end. But all of the swans, they weren't aggressive. They were just sat there looking at me, and I reckon they probably had 4 feet between them.
Yeah.
So right in the front of my swim, but the whole lot of them, obviously seeing him in distress, they all came together, and I was like, I thought that was quite weird.
I've never known that.
No.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before.
No.
I've seen swans caught, and but yeah, they all came together, unhooked him.
Did that put them off forever?
No. Didn't. No, I packed straight up. So, but I doubt it. If I'd have put more bait out there, they'd have gone back out there. But I packed straight up. That night, once I realised what was going on, I already packed all the tent down. I made the decision at that point. That swim was pretty much, I was sort of going to write that area off. So I packed all my gazebo, I packed the work bits down, got them ready to go. And as soon as that happened in the morning, I took that lot back to the van and I jacked that area and just thought, I can't be having that, you know. My second trip, I did 4 nights, blanked.
Get much work done?
Yeah, I did.
So it's working, this dual working, this hybrid,
modern
hybrid
like,
working.
I have to get it done. And the thing is on there, during the days, it's not like most lakes, or I don't find it to be like most lakes where you can run around the lake, there's always an opportunity here, or you can make an opportunity. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are opportunities to be had, but the legwork, the groundwork that has to go into that, quite often for nothing, in the situation that I am in, certainly currently, I would almost rather try and build something in an area and rely on the windows of opportunity throughout that day or night than spend hours and hours and hours and hours of every day walking around the lake. People do it, and generally it doesn't amount to much. And like I say, a lot of the better areas, people want, the anglers are not silly on Burghfield, you know. The people know where to look, they know where to fish, you know, it's all done quite well.
Yeah.
And if there were golden opportunities arising all around the place, it wouldn't be fished in the way that it is fished. You know, that's quite clear. And I'm not of the opinion that many people are walking around that lake, finding carp here in the edge and nicking one throughout the day, like you could on certain lakes.
Yeah.
You know, you can make the most of periods of time. In the summer, on a lot of lakes, you've got many hours of daylight. You can walk around and you can make things happen. I don't find Burghfield to be like that. To me, it's very much more like a game of chess. It's more static. And it's probably the one thing I dislike about it the most is I do find it quite boring. But that's how it is. So after sort of leaving that first area, I thought, you know what? Obviously, I have to assess who is where. So this game of chess that I kind of reference, what pieces are in play, where are they? Where's my next move? That's kind of, what are my options?
Yeah, against the other anglers as much as the fish.
Because I'm not going to go, you know, I'm not going to go into certain areas because I've got friends that are doing their bit in them and they wouldn't do it to me. I won't do it to them. So that's a decision. Again, that's on me. I could, if I wanted to, I could go in their swims. Fine. Some people would occasionally do. I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. People are too invested. You know, it means too much to some people, and that's not my style. So had a look around the lake, sort of sat there, thought about what I know about the place already, chose another area, got a lot of work done that week. Like I say, took the gazebo again.
Any piss taking from other men?
Yeah, someone, not piss taking, a lot of like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Any genuine disgruntlement, or is it?
No,
they
love it. Do you know what I mean? They appreciate it,
and they understand what you do.
Yeah, they get it, mate. You know, it's. Some people are really lucky. They go to work, and when work finishes, the gap between going back to work is sort of just there. It's not really like that for me. You know, whether I'm fishing, working, you know, everything is always in play for me at the same time.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I've had periods over the years where I can kind of put work down a bit, and I can do bits on my laptop and my phone. But at the minute, with the decisions I have made this year, I have taken it upon myself to be massively involved again in what we're doing in terms of editing and stuff like that. So therefore, because of that, I have to and they get that. They understand I would rather take the monstrosity with me and the table and do a bit of both.
Fishing,
and if the daytimes aren't prolific and there isn't a lot going on in the day, what I've found in recent years, you're twiddling your thumbs anyway.
Yeah.
You know, the area I fished the last couple of years, pretty much from first light till last light, I would have birds on me every day. So I might sit at Burghfield from Monday to Friday. I've got 5 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. I can't even have my rods out, even if I wanted to.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hours. And last year, I used to go to the pub nearly every day with my laptop. We were relaunching Cypography, new website, all that sort of stuff. So I went down the Cunning Man and I did my work there. That was fine. But if I needed to go and burn a few hours doing something else, I could.
Yeah.
You know, because I could just pick it up, put it down a little bit. This is now different. So if I'm going to do the editing, I have to do it
with the monstrosity.
And be more, you know, I have to commit to that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went into another area. Again, the lake's very weedy at the minute. And I spent certain periods throughout the trip just trying to find new areas. And I didn't really get anywhere, to be quite honest, that first trip. I was not particularly happy. Like, it was all right, but for certainly the early part of it, I wasn't that happy. And then I found, so I got my leading rod out, and I just thought, I'm just going to cast and cast and cast. And there was a certain area that the previous autumn, maybe even my first autumn, in fact, I'd been up the other end the whole year, hadn't really been down into that end of the lake that much. And I went in there probably would have been September time, and there was quite a lot of carp there, backs out and all that amongst the weed. And I thought, there's definitely something, I could do something in this swim. Mm-hmm. It's overlooked, I think, in the summers, particularly in the summer. It's quite popular spring and autumn, but it's not popular in the summer. Yeah, and I like I say, I led it around for ages, baited before I left. I came back this week. I went back 1:30 yesterday morning, and I left this morning, but I caught one. So it was my first fish of the year. Hopefully not my last, but it's been really tough this year. It's been really tough. Like I say, the boats were took away, and I get the impression that not a great deal has been caught. Certainly all the people I've spoken to and I know well, it's been a tough year. So I was really happy to catch one. Obviously, new swim, new areas, you know, and just kind of I'd balanced things a bit, but I didn't take the monstrosity with me this week. I was only there for such a short period of time. The main reason I wanted to go was I wanted to bait because I'm away next week. I thought if I go down, at least I can get baiting because I'm not here for a week.
So the fish was a bit of a bonus, but
yeah,
part of the jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, and you know, I would have still caught that carp if I was working. You know, that wouldn't have made any difference. You know, it wasn't like if I'd have took the laptop and all that with me, I wouldn't have been able to do what I was doing. So there's a little bit of legs in that. You know, I've got something now. It's very important, especially for me. I'm not an opportunist angler. I've probably said this many times on this kind of thing, but that is not. I can be when I need to be, but I don't. I like to build on things. I like to fit pieces together and always be building on something. Certain anglers prefer to turn up clean. Every trip is a clean slate. Where are the carp? I'm going to try. That's not how I like to fish.
Yeah.
You know, so the first bite. If you're fishing opportunist style, your first bite, yeah, it's great, but
it doesn't tell you much for the next session, does it?
No. If you're going back there with that mindset of I'm starting fresh again, doesn't matter if you catch one or three in that trip. You might have somewhere to look initially in case the same opportunity arises again, but really, you're not. Whereas for me, in the way I like to fish, that's really important. Just you know, catching a carp from the spot. That's like okay, because if you can catch one, you can catch more. You know, definitely.
You must be buzzing then, right now.
So yeah.
Decent fish.
Yeah, £31 mirror.
Night bite, daytime.
Daytime. Yeah. So, you know that's good. But I've only done 5 trips this year, and it's savage, mate. It's August. You know,
has the weed peaked? Is it on its way down?
I would say no. I'd say it's about peaking. Yeah, it's probably peaked from now. When it's hot, you see it sort of climbs to the surface, doesn't it? And it dips back down. But yeah, it's weedy. It is weedy. Not too weedy. Not like crazy, like it has been. The first year I fished there, I've never known weed like that. Especially on a big lake like that. You almost don't imagine a big lake can have that much coverage, but they can. But yeah, it's sort of like a nice level of weedy. It's there in areas, but it's not surface weed. Surface weed is big problem for fishing, I find. Because you
getting fish once you've hooked one as well, that's only half the problem, isn't
don't get me wrong, landing them isn't, it's borderline surface weed. It's just under.
Yeah.
But it's not drifting around, like your line isn't snaking over it. You're not having to rake channels all the way out just to get your line beneath the surface. And obviously with surface weed, it moves. If your line is on the surface, it's surface, like I say, surface weed is your worst nightmare. But it's not that. It's sort of weed. It's, like I say, it's probably perfect. It's weedy to the extent that the carp will very much know it's weedy, but it's not too weedy that as an angler, it's going to cause you headaches. So, yeah, like it's all to play for, mate. It's been so. It is, as I say this today. I think is it the 1st of August?
It is, as we record. Yeah.
So it was 4 years on Tuesday since the fish was caught last, and I think someone worked out and told me it was. I think as of today, it's 1,463 days.
That's what I've got on the laptop in front of me. Yeah.
1,463 days since it was last caught.
That's mad, isn't it?
Was
that Scotty's capture, or was it?
Yeah, Simon Scott. Yeah. That's almost my little boy is only just 4. He was 4 in May. That's my little boy's almost his entire life. That it hasn't been, and like when you start to think of it like that, like it is absolutely absurd, really. That's a long time.
How old do people think the BC is?
I don't know.
And are you on borrowed time?
Yes, you'd be silly to say no, you're not on borrowed time, but you never know with carp, mate. Like the classic carp that hasn't been caught for the last capture we know of was not last year, the year before. But that thing was like 6. I'm sure when my mate Rich caught it, and that was a few years ago. I think before I had a ticket. I think it was 69 years old. So.
And it's still a big fish, isn't it?
It was like 37 odd pound, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So if that carp can be 69 years old, the Burghfield might have 20 years left in it. I don't know. It's hard to work out exactly how old that fish is.
Yeah.
I think it was like 96. Was it 96? I think the first capture, something like mid-90s or something.
Yeah.
And it was upper 30. So
but mid-90s is 30 years ago now. Like to some older people.
And it was an upper 30 then.
Yeah. Yeah. So it lived a
life.
life.
That wasn't its first capture. I believe there was one before, £24 or something that people have later found. But when Pierce caught it, I'm sure it was. I want to say I think 96. That's what I want to say. I could be wrong. So that's 30 years, and it was 39 when he had it, 36 or 39 when he caught it. So it's
old.
Yeah, mate. It's knocking. It should be realistically. It's guaranteed. Even if it was born that year at £36 or whatever it was, that's 30 years old. So realistically, it's got to be knocking on the doors of £50, 50 years.
Yeah.
So, it's yes. You are on borrowed time, but time is not it's kind of like, it's just not a thing there. It's such a strange place. The people that fish there have fished there for a very long time, and it's not like it's been, some people 7-8 years, 2 captures, It's done 4 years now without time goes so quickly on that lake.
Yeah.
And it's like nowhere else. It really is. Like, I speak to people that fish it for a long time, and they're like, this is as hard as it's ever been, The lake is as hard as it's ever been. There's fewer carp in here now than there's ever been, which is in a way is a good thing, because you are closer to the one you want to catch.
Yeah.
But it's a tall order, mate. It's the only carp I've probably ever fished for where I actually joined thinking there's every chance I will not catch this. Now that is not a mindset that I would ever have anywhere else. I wouldn't join a lake if I had that thought. I probably wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
But you're stupid not to have that. It's not that you think you never will, but you have to understand. You can't not understand that there's every chance that you won't, because that is the reality.
You've got to be reasonable about it. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you do 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. Doesn't matter if you catch loads of carp. Those factors, they don't really come into play, whereas most places, the more time you do, the more carp you catch.
Not necessarily there.
You know, and don't get me wrong, the more time you do, the more carp you catch. Of course, you should naturally feel like you're closer. But there is an argument to be made for that kind of not being true with that one. It's almost unobtainable, and it proves that year on year. It kind of always has been.
Well, that's what makes it so special, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why it's worth it. That's why I'm 35, not 65. You know, there is fishing beyond Burghfield for me.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, there's fishing beyond that lake. But for some people, there might not be that much fishing beyond that. But you make the decision, you know, that's why a lot of people come and go. Lots of people come and go. It's easy to get down. It's easy to get a bit. It's quite a frustrating, quite a boring, very demanding lake with an almost unobtainable carp in it. And when you throw those factors in, it's no wonder that some people kind of just go, whatever, go and fish somewhere else.
And that's fully understandable, isn't it?
It is totally understandable, you know. And there are times where I sit there and think, fucking hell, what could I have caught? If I'd have put this much effort into other places, what could I have caught in the last 3 years? But the reality is, it doesn't matter. You can catch every carp in the country. None of them will ever be what that carp is.
Yeah.
Not even close, mate. Like, in my opinion, anyway. And anyone that's been there, fished it, and actually understands the reality of it. You know, you can catch all the carp in the world, but
there's only one.
Do you want to catch lots of carp, or do you want to have a go? And you know, there's plenty of other fish in there to enjoy catching along the way. But that fish is. It is the ultimate carp. I don't think there will ever be and has ever been a carp that has the prestige that one does. Not just because of its size, not just because of what it looks like, but what it actually takes.
Yeah.
To hook it, land it, you know. I imagine it's even quite hard to hold, you know.
And we could do a whole podcast on that fish alone, but we won't because we've got lots to rattle through. Yeah. And from taking the kitchen sink, taking your monstrosity of a gazebo, to perhaps, I don't know, just travelling lighter or you know, I suppose actually taking your gazebo but doing it for actual work. Dave Lane, you've gone to a smaller place, not a million miles from Burghfield. You've gone with him, done some underwater. It looked to me from all the snippets you put on social media, you had less sleep again. It looked like you were up early. You were plenty of action, plenty of work.
It was really good. It was obviously height of summer. Went to a beautiful lake. Massive shout out to Nick, the owner, for letting us go there.
Yeah, set the scene. Where did you go?
It's a place called Croft Pool, which is a syndicate. But mate, what a beautiful lake. You know, I've heard bits about it. We actually made a film there years ago. I wasn't on the shoot. And it was really murky, and it looked all right, but it didn't make me go wow from what I saw. When I went down there, it was crystal clear, full of pads, surrounded by snags. The perfect, like, if I was to make a carp lake, it would be quite similar to that, you know, how he has it there. Maybe a bit bigger, but other than that, beautiful, tap clear water, full of weed, hundreds of lily beds everywhere throughout the whole lake. Shallow. You can see the carp. You can see that. I always find when you can see the carp and you can see to the bottom beneath them, there's nothing more exciting than that. When you can climb a tree, see all the way out, see underneath every snag, see every carp, like that. It's so exciting. There's nothing's left to the imagination almost. All that you're thinking about is where do I go? There's fish there, you know, and it's that kind of lake, intimate, has that real old school fishery vibe about it. Picture a John Wilson tench fishing or something. That's the kind of the vibe I get when I was there. It's a lovely place. The carp aren't hundreds of years old or anything like that. You know, I think he stocked them about 10, 15 years ago, but they've really grown. They're really nice fish that he's put in there. They've like I said, they've got big. They're, I think, hand-picked, I would imagine. So you've got all sorts of fish. The water's clear, so they're jet black. You know, what more could you want? Unless you want really old carp, that's the only thing it doesn't really have.
Yeah.
So.
And you took Dave Lane there, which is another bonus, isn't it? So.
Yeah, and Laney was really. I don't know Dave that well. In fact, I could say I barely know him at all. You know, I only really met him when I did the charity event for Paul Ford's charity event. That's when I probably spoke to him more than I'd ever spoke to him, bumped into him in the past. But obviously I spent a lot of time with him that week, and he's a good laugh. Obviously, he's a very good angler. You know, Dave's, as carp anglers go, mate, he's about as accomplished as they come. He's done it everywhere for years, you know.
What did you learn about his style in his company for those days? And did anything surprise you, or?
I wouldn't say anything. No, I wouldn't say anything surprised me. To be fair, I think obviously I've met lots and lots and lots of fishermen over the years, doing the job I do, fishing the lakes I fish and stuff. You know, I've met my fair share of anglers of all ages and all. And what I find with the older guys, sorry Dave, when you're old, but compared to me, you kind of are, I suppose. What I find with them is they're not. You know, I think the finesse side of things isn't like, say, a modern day angler, but they focus on the things that matter. And there is a lot more important things in carp fishing than how steamed straight your rig is, how perfectly positioned your shrink tubing is. You know, they're the things that are easy to do. You watch a video, someone tells you have to do. Anyone can do that, should they be bothered. The things that really matter are the things that you learn from being a hardened angler, and those things are always the things that shine through when you meet the likes of Laney, who they don't need to be told that how to steam this or do that. They already know why they're using what they're using, and so you get that. It's kind of, I don't know, it's different. I'm not saying Dave's rigs are all bent up and horrible, but you can tell the focus is different. He was way more willing to change things than I thought. I thought he might be, no, well, I've done this for years. This is what works for me. This is what's staying there. The complete opposite. You know, he was like, not just willing, but almost wanting to constantly tweak things, try things, do this, do that, which is from my side and as a viewer, that's a great thing. Rather than just, well, that's what's going out there, that's what's staying out there, and it doesn't really matter what happens beyond that. So being in his company, like I say, you start talking and you get a few of the old stories and all that sort of stuff, which is always good. But we had a good trip, caught a few carp, and I think he liked it. I get the impression.
Had he done underwater before?
No, but Dave's always been quite, what would the word be? Not innovative. Maybe I'm not saying he's not innovative. He's open. I think he's quite open to. Whenever someone says the word fish spy, remember them?
I do.
Who do you think of?
Well, Dave Lane was he's an older school angler, but he's not stuck in his ways in any sense, is he? He's not.
No. I think he goes fishing to capture, mate. And I think within reason, he will do what needs to be done to do that. So yeah, it was a really good trip. Beautiful lake, great company, and we caught carp, got some mega footage. Again, one of them ones where you go away thinking couldn't really ask for more than that.
Yeah,
it was. You know, it went how what would have wanted it to go. Could I have chosen?
On a lake full of lily pads, you mentioned that it's strewn with lily pads. How much of a feature are they? Would you target lily pads?
I would say they're not. When the lake is full of lily pads, the biggest areas of lily pads obviously becomes it. So at that lake, there's pads everywhere, but in the centre of the main bowl, there's a massive set of lily pads. And as much as they use a lot of the other sets, like I say, they are everywhere. They're in all the corners. There's lots of small sets of lilies, but then there's a really big set of lilies, and there is obviously where because they can go deep into them. There was always carp in those, and then the other ones they would sort of navigate through as they move around the lake. So I would say on a lake that's full of, some lakes are absolutely stacked with them, aren't they?
Yeah.
You can't even get sort of, you like what's the one in Reading? Flint.
Farnham Flint.
That's got a whole bay of pads.
Yeah.
Now, there, you can kind of only get to the fringes. This lake, you could fish all the way around that set of pads. So they go in the middle of them, and that's where they're safest. And of all the sets of pads, the biggest one is, like, same with snags. If there's snags all the way around the lake, they'll use them all. But the biggest, gnarliest, deepest, safest set of snags would always be their favourite. So very similar to that, yeah, I would say.
When are we going to see that film?
God, Jesus. Be a little while. I reckon October. Dave actually rang me earlier to ask me that exact question. His boy's been asking apparently. Yeah, probably October, I think. It's August now. Yeah, be around then.
And in terms of the edit then, you're really excited about the survival stuff you've done.
Yeah.
Is that a bit closer to fruition?
Yes. So that we were going to put it out this Monday, but Corda are releasing an underwater film. So it's not the best.
Does that affect your thinking in terms of
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, especially YouTube, mate. It's free, isn't it? You know, and we have to bear that sort of thing in. Or I just naturally do. Yeah. I don't want to be. When you do what we do, it's really important that. In fact, it doesn't. Even if you're not doing what we do, if you owned any other company that's releasing a video, if you can avoid releasing it the same day that Corda are releasing an underwater video, you probably should, if you've got your head screwed on anyway.
Yeah.
Unless you genuinely believe you can outmarket, outpower, because it's just saturation, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a saturation level, and
if people have got 2 hours to watch fishing content, they will gravitate to that
maybe,
on that night.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
You know, it might be that the survival thing is probably my favourite thing that we've done. Maybe ever, but certainly for a long time, because it's totally new. It's been a long time since we have done something that is totally new. We've done a lot of things. We've done things years ago that were kind of maybe in that bracket, but in the last 5 or 6 years, mate, it's been very, very, very hard to do things that nobody has done in fishing. Like, period. That this has not been done. So it's a big deal for us. It was a big deal for me, and I want it to have the impact I feel it deserves. And yeah, you know, having that not overshadowed, but I don't want to be competing with the likes of Corda for people's attention, I suppose. That's the reality of it. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. We've put a lot of graft into it. And I think I do think people are gonna love it. So that'll be out. By the time this podcast is aired, it will be out. But I think it'll be out second week of August rather than the first, basically. Or they will be out. There's 2 films. So yeah, second week of August they would have been released. And I hope people love it. Like I said in the last podcast, it was something that really opened our eyes. It's something I feel like not everyone will do it, but it's kind of, I reckon a lot of people who I said, do you want to come and try this? They'd go, yeah. It's not probably the sort of thing you're going to do off your own back. Yeah. What's the point, in a way, I suppose. But yeah, it's cool. But yeah, it should have been out this Monday, but we've gone.
Yeah, don't clash with Corda.
Yeah, we try not to.
No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
In terms of tried and tested content from SIP, then John Claridge, for the record, what's been the feedback? What's been your feedback? Did you? Yeah,
it's like you can't beat. So someone talking about the old Yateley days. I know it's a bit. Sometimes I think, oh, it's Yateley again, but they don't bore, mate. You don't get bored of it.
And he's a good storyteller as well.
Yeah, and John has actually caught, I think, probably a lot more carp than people realise. You know, I don't think John's ever been massively in the public eye or anything like that. I don't know John from Adam really. I don't even know if I've ever really spoken to him properly. Rich did the interviews. Even now, in a way, I still haven't had like a proper. But I know what he's caught, and the old stories. Every story is different, isn't it? Whether it's the Burghfield Common, the Black Mirror, Yateley, certain places Raisbury. Doesn't matter whose story it is, you'll always enjoy it, and it's good. I like the fact that every person, when something's hard earned, especially when you're talking lots of carp that are hard earned across different lakes, the stories they're always good, because if it's hard to achieve, then generally the journey will make for a good listen. We've never done anything with John in the past, and again, it's harder. Every year that passes, the list of people we haven't done stuff with gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And then you think, oh my God, we've never done anything with him. So yeah, it's been good. The for the record interviews that we do, they're not for everyone. They're not. Every carp angler isn't going to enjoy them. I think every carp angler could appreciate them, but we do those now for a certain group of people. We're not.
It is almost for the record. There's oral history there that you're getting down.
Yes, mate.
That it is useful and valid, and I'm sure Rich really buys into that.
Absolutely.
That this stuff should be recorded before it's too late.
And certain people, mate, are now dead, and I look and I think, fuck.
Yeah, should have got them.
I wish we'd have done something with them.
Yeah.
I wish we had done something with it.
It's an important archive beyond just its current status.
100%. And some people I've spoke to in the past, they're like, no, I don't fancy it. I almost want to say to them, well, if you die, but you're not. I don't say that.
Yes,
but it's always there. And it is. We love documenting stuff like that. I think every man that has dedicated as much of his life as the kind of guys that generally feature in For the Record for whatever, one deserves to have that documented in some way. John's written a book and that, so he kind of has, but they deserve to have it documented if they want to, and we want to document it if they'll allow us to. So we've done, part 1's been released, there's part 2 coming, and we're going to do a part 3, about which we've never done 3 parts of an angler before. I don't know how we've ended up where John is the first one, but he's got lots of stories to tell, and it's like, well, while you're sort of in the mix doing it, let's get the other ones done. So the first are kind of Yateley centric, but then the more recent, the one we'll do next will be more concentrated sort of in and around the Cotswolds. So enjoyable for, like I say, aimed at a certain type of angler, really. If you've never listened to a For the Record interview and you're listening to this, then you should listen to them, especially if you're a Cypography member that hasn't gone down that avenue. You might just go, interview, I'm not listening to that. Put it on in a car when you drive. Treat it as a podcast. It's not a podcast. It's not. They're interviews, not podcasts. Yeah. But you could
absorb it whilst you're driving.
Yes. You could call it a podcast if you wish. If you love podcasts but you don't like interviews, you'll like For the Record interviews. Yeah.
So you live 2.5 hours away from Burghfield.
Yeah.
Do you get yourself G'd up for fishing on the way down by listening to fishing podcasts, fishing content? Do you use it as time to be in mobile office and call people? What's your sort of routine in those 2.5 hours between here and Reading?
Good question. I do. I spend quite a bit of time on the phone. Depends what time I travel. If I travel early, less time on the phone. But yeah, I spend a bit of time on the phone. I listen to loads of podcasts. I listen to the Man United Stand, which is Mark Goldbridge. If you're a Man United fan and you haven't listened to the Man United Stand, you must. He is the ultimate podcast host, in my opinion. He's so fucking good. He's so good at it. Obviously, it's all based on Man United, but he does another one called That's Football, which is football in general. Yeah. I listen to that a lot. He does like 3 podcasts a day. He doesn't flat out, mate.
So you've got enough content.
So I listen, but I really like the latest Quarter podcast. I've listened to lots of fishing. I'm not obsessed with fishing podcasts. I try not to spend too much of my time when I'm not either working or fishing on things that are fishing based. So I listen to my football podcasts. I listen to the Diary of a CEO podcast. I really like that. Eventful Lives, that's a good podcast. That's more about criminals, and it's sort of like criminals or SAS and that kind of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, podcasts I think they're great for driving, especially long drives, because it's always about the right length. If you drive 2.5 hours, you can pretty much guarantee you'll listen to a whole podcast. So yeah, I do. I listen to a lot of that kind of stuff. But a bit of a mixed bag, and not too much fishing, because
you don't necessarily need a fishing podcast to get you just going. You're already excited to head down that road.
I don't. It's so, like I say, I listen to the Quarter Uncut podcast if I haven't listened to it already. But generally, I'm a bit weird, so I have my phone playing all the time. Every time when I wake up I have music playing on my phone, walking around the house, everything constantly, whenever, unless I'm working, editing. Ask my missus how much she hates me, mate. And I mean all the time. So I listen to like music, podcasts and stuff all day, every single day, whilst I'm doing things. I don't do anything in silence. I know it's a bit weird. I have a shower. When I'm in the shower, I have music on my phone or a podcast on my phone. I listen to it walking around the house. She bought me earpods.
I bet she did.
Because she fucking hates it. Because if I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I still do it. I still have them on quieter. So across a week, I listen to loads, mate.
Yeah, I bet.
So, yeah, but certainly on the way there as well, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Yeah.
So coming here today, obviously, I was in the car for the same amount of time. I listened to podcasts as well,
yeah.
And one that I wanted to listen to because I was intrigued by it. Alan Blair, as we we record, Nash Bait have just announced that they're closing Nash Bait, and Alan was in typical honest fashion talking about that on the Nash podcast, the current format of the Nash podcast.
It was good that I listened to that.
It was good, and he said, and he was so honest, and Alan is nothing but honest, and he said that bait is hard, that there are companies out there that will be finding, that we might think they're the most, lavishly cash-rich companies out there. But imagine most bait companies are probably finding it hard in the current market. He said, he made a point that, bait prices have not risen. Tackle prices have risen. The price of your can of Coke has risen in the last 10 years. Boilies have stayed, $9.99 a kilo, maybe a bit more. And it's just unsustainable. I mean, what are your thoughts on the closure of Nash Bait and bait generally?
Well, I mean, I think any business is hard. Anything like that is hard. I think Nash probably over the years have fallen into a position where they're just, because they're not the most popular. I think one of the things kind of Alan did kind of say, like I said, I've listened to the same podcast, is they kind of had the infrastructure of one of the biggest bait brands, and I'm sure during a period of time they were. But the minute you start, once your infrastructure is like that, the minute you go backwards, you become bang in trouble. When you're a smaller bait company, everything is less. You can kind of afford to fluctuate more, so I think that's probably ultimately sounds like what's cost them in a way. It's
almost got too big.
They're geared up to be so big that the minute, and you have to bear in mind as well, to be the best or one of the best, it has to be your focus, I think. You can't be the best in the bait game, the biggest in the bait game, and have the whole of the other Nash brand to manage at the same time. That's how I would see it. If you want to be the best in the bait game, you need to be a bait company solely, I would imagine. That's how, in my head, how I think it would work. The companies that you look at that you'd probably say were the biggest, they're all just bait companies. And I think over time, when you all of a sudden you have, in recent years, I think more bait companies have arrived. More and more of them, which means more and more people are getting cheaper bait from elsewhere, because that's a big thing these days. I think everyone's trying to get their bait cheap. And I think you've got other companies who are solely bait brands putting 110% effort into it every single day of the week. They haven't got to run all these other sort of sub-brands of Nash alongside it. And I think probably over time, it's just fallen out of favour. And in the end, like you said, they've had to close. I think it is a massive shame. Like when I was young, being from Essex, it was always Nash and Mainline. But that Scopex squid era, that was a big part of my fishing, mate. When I was younger, like probably the most fundamental years of my fishing, a big part of that was all Nash bait, mate. And I remember the blue bags, we used to call them bonza bags, we used to call them. My mate, these guys that were older than me, they always called them bonza bags. But it was like, we would get these bags, he would go and get them cheap, and you felt like, when we were kids, like 15 years old, just getting your bait off the Nash man, because there was this guy, we called him the Nash man, we didn't know his name, but he used to get a bit of bait from my mate, Lloyd, and Gav, who were older than me. They'd go and get these bonza bags of Scopex squid, and we felt like we were like in this sort of special club because we were getting our bait off this guy.
And it's local. There's a bit of a meaning
and
to
there
it,
was,
isn't
mate.
It? Like, it's a bit. It was mentioned in the Nash podcast. It's a bit like your favourite football team saying we're no longer operating.
Yes.
There is brand loyalty in bait, isn't there? There is.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and you being an Essex boy, and it being me being an Oxford lad, and Drennan and ESP. There is that sort of loyalty to those brands, aren't there?
Yeah, 100%. And it only comes from. And the bait was good. I won't speak for Nash bait in recent years. I haven't used it. I won't speak for it. But when I used it back then, that was really good bait. And if you looked around, it wasn't just people in Essex that used Nash, mate. Like there were periods where most of the biggest names were using Nash bait at one point. And obviously, when that changes, it's a big thing, mate. If you're a bait company, the people that use it, that makes a really big difference. In fact, anything, whether you sell bait or tackle, the people that represent your brand are a huge factor. How much effort you have to put into that is a huge factor from a company perspective. And I think over the years, the Nash thing, it became more of an in-house. I think their brand really, the Nash Bait brand, was kind of what you saw of people using it was generally coming from within.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
And I think I would hazard a guess and say that doesn't help. If it was only people that work for Corda that were saying how good Corda was, that's not as influential or as good as when there's people that don't.
Yeah.
So I think very slowly Nash has fallen out of favour in terms of bait. And like I say, from what Alan was saying, it sounds like when you have so much going on with it, so you're so invested in it, you either start to whittle things down. But when you're a massive company like that, sometimes it's like, well, we're better off just, like he said, concentrating on the things that we can put all of our effort into. But it is a massive shame. Like I say, I've got really fond memories. I can still smell that bait now, mate.
It's Monster Pursuit for me. I'm a bit older than you, and it is the smell of some of those boilies is evocative, isn't it?
And I have really, really fond memories of it. It was bloody good bait, and it was really nice to see. How many people just came out of the woodwork. People that now use other bait and stuff, and said, "Oh, I love that bait."
Yeah.
I think things fall in trends, mate.
Are you hearing though from the bait industry that it's hard? Because Alan puts a pretty persuasive argument across that making bait is really hard to make. I mean, Ali quite well. OMC is a relatively fledgling company. They're building quickly. But he's gone into bait quite quickly. I'd love to. He's not here to explain why, but it'd be great. I'm intrigued. Ali clearly sees that there's profitability in bait. But it must be hard, mustn't it?
Yeah, I think obviously I use Baitworks, and for a long, long time, Mark has sold direct. In fact, I think bar like maybe the linear tackle shop, he's always sold direct. The main reason for that has always been total control, I suppose. Total control can make a good bait without, because as soon as you put something into a shop, that's a big percentage of your margins that then go out the window. Because
and you also lose control of stock freshness, I suppose,
yeah,
and things
get
like
all that. But the big thing with bait, I think there's an argument to be made that you could say you could create a cheap bait that is attractive to carp and will catch probably potentially just as many carp as a really nutritional, really good bait. But people want to use a really good, really nutritional, and if you can balance the costs, whether that means not going into shops, and have both really attractive, really nutritional, and actually quite expensive bait. What you can't do is have those two things and it be a cheap bait. I don't think that is possible. It just doesn't, from everything I've ever heard, read, all the people I've spoken to. If you want good bait, you pay for it. And if you want a cheap bait, you can get it, but it's not going to be as good. I don't know how hard the bait game is. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of bait companies now. And they must exist for them. There is obviously demand. Every angler that goes fishing. I don't imagine it's too hard to sell some bait, but I think to be the best or the biggest in anything, mate, even in the top 5 of anything you do in any industry is hard. Like, however you want to dress it up, it's going to be bloody hard. If you want to reach those the peaks in any industry, in any part of any industry, it's going to take a hell of a lot of. It takes a lot of really good marketing, really good decisions constantly. You know, the bigger you get, the quicker you can fall. Make a couple of wrong decisions, and it's. I think once you start to scale things, it becomes so much more. Is the word futile? Is that the word? Like, it's just like I think little things can make bigger differences when you're big, and I think for me, I think it goes back to just probably to the focus. I think to be massive in something, it just has to be a really, really big focus. You know,
I suppose you are hit by outside forces, though. You know, the ingredients we anglers like to use must fluctuate massively in price. You know, you think about krill, you know, and things like that potentially there's only a finite resource of it in the world. How are you sourcing these things while still keeping a stable price list? You know, it must be a nightmare, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But I also think if it was that bad, the prices would go up. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah.
If it was that bad, people would put their prices up, because that is how it works in anything you like. That's kind of the way of the world. And yes, Alan makes a good point. Bait hasn't really gone up. Okay, well, either the bait is getting worse. There's two things are happening, right? The bait is getting worse, or the companies are making less profit.
Yeah.
Now,
and Alan was adamant it's the latter at Nash.
Yeah. And if they don't want to make the bait worse, they have to make less profit.
Yeah.
Just that, like I say, when you're as big as Nash were, and you've got all that infrastructure in place, just the increase of ingredients alone must have a massive effect. Because if you're nicking 10% off your all of a sudden it's like, whoa.
Yeah, if you're running fine margins as it is, and they're getting chiseled away at.
Yes. Yeah. So, like I say, I've never been down that road with bait, but the fundamentals of anything, I suppose, are if your costs go up, generally, if your costs go up, your prices go up in turn. And if that isn't happening, then there's only two things that can be happening. You either decrease the quality of what you sell, or you make less money and keep it the same. But you can only make less money to a certain point. Then no one's going to go. Then there's no point going to work anyway. So put your prices up. Think.
Maybe we're on the cusp of a big price rise. You know, boilies have roughly been £10 a kilo. You know, if you're in the shop, they've gone up a little bit. You know, maybe we're on the cusp.
I think
of
Ali's are 13, 14 quid a kilo.
Yeah.
You know, I think mainline's 13.
I suppose. Yeah, maybe I'm out of touch myself.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
And
I think it is. You know. So I think bait has gone up. You know, but maybe Nash didn't want to put their price up. This is the thing. Like, I don't think Alan was probably speaking for every company, because I'm sure mainline has gone up. I think most things have probably gone up, and Nash might have gone up a little bit over time. But it still has to weigh up,
have shrunk,
mate.
haven't they? Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we've had it. We had it this year. We looked at what the profit margins we make on merchandise and that. And I spoke to someone who runs a clothing company. We are not a clothing company. To us, it's merchandise. And he was like, mate, if you're not making, what did he say? If you're not making 50, 60% profit, he's like, it's not even any work. It's no point even doing it. But for us, it's always been, well, no. Even if we make 5% profit on it, it doesn't really matter to us. But if that is your business, it does, all of a sudden, it really does matter. And I think Nash probably maybe kind of the bait was kind of that. It was, we can make less money on it. That, as long as Nash as a brand, in terms of tackle, their bread and butter is thriving and everything's okay there, you can afford to make to make less money here, to keep people using it. It's good branding.
Yeah.
You know, having everyone using your bait, even if you made no money on it, as long as you broke even, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because it's good for the brand. But obviously, it's got to a point where the cons outweigh the pros. And they've had to make that decision, and it is a shame. But part of me feels like it will come back one day. Don't know why.
Alan dangled a little carrot in that podcast that he didn't want to, make any false promises, but he said he'd like to revisit it at one point.
And I think, I don't know. I think there's a good chance that it might appear again in some way.
Well, it is a heritage brand, isn't it? And
it is. It is. Nash is very much a heritage brand.
And it stands stands the test of time. In terms of carp captures, are we in a lull at the moment? As we record, it's 1st of August. Are things quiet?
Yeah, I think they are. I think
you said Burghfield's harder than it's been in recent years.
Yeah, I think that's probably more down to the thing there is they've been fished for so effectively for so long. Now it's all back to spomming, casting, and all that kind of the shock factor. It's like if they're hard to catch when everything's in your favour, turn it round and then make it not in your favour, they're even bloody harder to catch. So, but I think in general, just seems quiet to me this year. I can't think of loads of big carp that have been caught. Yeah,
maybe it's perception, isn't it? That we can't get all the stats here, but my perception's the same as well. Just following little angling clubs near me on Facebook, general course fishing. The river season hasn't really exploded. We're 6 weeks into that. It never is. The peak of river captures will be later in the year, obviously for barbel, chub, things like that. But it doesn't seem to be too much.
I don't think so. No, I think it's been really hot though.
It has. Yeah,
it's been scorchio, and it's only really the last couple of weeks now. I've always noticed this as well. In this country now, as soon as it rains in sort of July, August time, the minute you get that first bit of rain, summer's just gone. I've clocked it for the last few years, and I say it every year. As soon as you get a proper thunderstorm, how hot was it in June, July?
Yeah.
That was hot,
roasting.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
really
weekend.
Hot.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm very much aware of how hot things are because I'm thinking about that comment all the time. It rained just before I went back there, and it really rained, and we were like, I remember looking at my grass, it was all brown and horrible, and I thought, the grass will be happy. But then I remember standing out there in it, and I thought, I bet that's it now. I bet it's
summer gone.
And mate, ever since then, 3 weeks down the line, it's getting warm again next week apparently. Typically I'm going away. But it just seems that we get that. If we get that really sustained hot period, as soon as the rain comes, it never recovers. I always thought.
Well, by the time people are listening to this, they'll know your theory is either true or not.
But I'm saying it's not, mate. We aren't going to get one of them that prolonged, really lovely hot. I love it when it's like that. I love it when it's 30 degrees. It was 30 degrees a lot, wasn't it?
It was. Do you love it from your fishing point of view?
No.
No.
I just like it. Yeah.
You're like a lizard. You like being outside.
I like the sun, yeah. I wish we lived in a hotter country.
Well, Australia is a hotter country. That's a good segue from me here. And something you've spotted, I've not spotted this, but something you've spotted this week on your Instagram, you said they're deliberately, they don't like carp in Australia. I think we can all take that as a given. They're giving their carp KHV. Is that what you
Shall I read out what it said?
Yeah.
I'll read it out to you. And it doesn't surprise me because you see the pictures of people bow hunting for carp and all that, and I think a lot of the time it is Australia, isn't it?
I remember when I was at Angling Times and we did a feature on what it's like to be a Brit expat living. Someone wrote to us and said, I'm a Brit, I live over in Australia. There's carp fishing galore here, but the locals keep frowning on me for catching and releasing. And
they hate them.
And we ran a feature on it. It was quite interesting, but it really is. And I know someone, a friend of mine who runs lakes in France, he emigrated to Australia and he says, there is no carp culture over there. There is no catch and release. It's worse than America in that. America at the moment seems to be the new frontier for carp fishing, whereas I think Australia, they're still pretty much dead set against it.
They don't like them. So it says, the Murray-Darling Basin Authority's latest 2025 Sustainable Rivers Audit and 2025 Basin Plan Evaluation Report yet again show that European carp continue to dominate Australia's inland rivers. The carp infestation is so massive that it's negating other efforts to improve the health of our native fisheries and aquatic ecosystems. Thankfully, years of world-class research completed for the National Carp Control Plan shows that releasing the carp herpes virus would provide a safe and effective way to reduce the carp population. It's time for action to control carp. So they're giving the carp KHV.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to be logical about it and think rationally about it. They're invasive species in this country that we don't particularly like. I mean, that's a lot of carp. That's a hell of a drone pick.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That is mad, yeah. If people are listening to this.
But I think they demolish the rivers, don't I think they
So I can understand why they don't like them. I'm just we have invasive species over here and we might go, oh my God, giving them KHV deliberately is...
There's still going to be lots of carp. When you're a carp, if they were rats, you wouldn't care, would you?
Yeah.
You'd go, huh?
Yeah.
Because they're carp and we all love carp so much. I saw that and thought, oh, wow. But everything if anything in nature gets out of hand, it has to be controlled.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess that's probably where they're at. They wouldn't be doing that, I don't think. As horrible as it is and the thought of it, blah, blah, blah. You don't get to that.
Yeah, it's drastic action, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you got any subscribers in Australia? Do you know your stats from that?
No, I don't know. I reckon we've got at least one.
It'd be interesting if anyone's listening or watching. It'd be interesting to know what your carp culture's like in Australia and whether...
I definitely like South Africa. I've been invited by a few people to go to places like Australia. They all blur into one for me because they've all got massive spiders. And I'm petrified of spiders, right? Like, my dream would be to go to the Amazon, but I'm so scared of spiders that I just... The thought, beyond the thought of it, I can't progress past that because I think I know what will happen. There'll be spiders and I will hate it.
But there are spiders in the UK, albeit not deadly ones.
Spiders, mate. We've got spiders. They've got spiders. So, but I've been asked. I don't know if Australia. If someone's asked me to go to Australia before, but definitely like places like America, South Africa.
Does it interest you? Would you make a SIP film in the United States?
Yeah, for sure. I've said about doing that for years as well. But then again, and then in recent years, it sort of feel like it's been done a few times.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big country though, isn't it? So there's pockets of it. But I agree, Carl Smith's done quite a bit in there.
And then obviously, whenever that sort of thing happens, I always go,
Yeah.
It kind of...
If you're not first, you're last.
It becomes less, if you're not first, you're last, it becomes a bit less. I'd like to do it, I'd love to do it, it would be great fun, but it'd be bloody expensive. It would be a hell of an investment in terms of time and energy, and I would love to do it. I'm sure at some point we will, but I don't know if I'd maybe just try and find somewhere that hasn't been done, just because if you're going to go all that way, there's no point going somewhere someone else has been in the last year and doing the same the same thing. So it does interest me. I love places like that. But spiders are a big problem for me. Don't mind anything else. I don't like centipedes either, to be fair. The millipedes. I don't like them. But most other bugs, animals, snakes, anything that I'm not worried about.
Okay.
But the big millipedes and most spiders, particularly big ones, they do put me off.
Well, fair enough. Just one other thing, I'm just looking at notes that we've both shared. And somewhere you used to fish, in your youth, perhaps, Golden Gates.
Yeah.
What's happened there?
So I got sent a picture the other day. I think it's this time of year, I'm always waiting for there to be a fish kill somewhere. I think going end of July, going into August, and that, it just tends to be, it's the time of year when you get the oxygen crashes in the lakes. And I think Golden Gates is somewhere I fished early days when I was working at Corda. I think I fished there 2012. I fished it. I did an autumn into the winter, and because of that, I wouldn't say I was massively attached to the place or anything like that. But when you see the picture I saw, it's just a shame. It's just a reminder of how volatile the water can be. And there always seems to be somewhere and it's so catastrophic as well. I had it last year with my pond.
Yeah.
This year, I get that picture come through, and I just think, it was one of them. It's just a shame. You hear it, you see it, and you think, a bit like the Nash Bait thing.
But it is a reminder that things don't last forever, isn't it?
No, yeah, very much so. And I think it's horrible. Anyone that has fished a lake where I've fished a few places over the years where the oxygen crash thing happens. I know places that I've had places I've fished in the past where it's happened, and sometimes it's rescuable and they get everything done in time, and some people are putting things in place in case it happens. I think it's a good idea.
It's not cheap.
But it's not something most people are going to do. But I thought I'd mention it because there might be people listening to this that own a lake, and I would say with oxygen, if you don't have the things in place to combat it, by the time you do, it is too late. And when it's oxygen, it's the whole lake, and in turn, it's all of the carp. And it's kind of a hard one, I suppose, because it's a big investment. An otter fence, right? I kind of get the otter fence thing. A lot of people don't want to spend the money on an otter fence. I get that to a degree. An otter versus your stock is way more. It's easier to combat that. It's a big problem, but it's a much smaller problem. An oxygen crash, that's not one thing against the stock of your carp that's going to whittle them down. So it's kind of like, if that happens, every single thing every living being within that lake is at risk. And if I'm not saying everyone should go out and get all the measures in place in case they have one, and I'm sure most people that own a fishery do consider it, but once it happens, it's too late. And Kenny, who runs that place, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if he did have everything ready to go, and still wasn't able to stop it. But it does happen, and it seems to. I don't think it's anything you can really do about it particularly. They talk about cutting this down and having wind lanes and all that, and I'm sure it helps. But I think it's a horrible thing to see. It's nothing worse than seeing 100 dead carp laid across I don't actually know how many died. Don't quote me on it because I don't know how many have died. The picture I saw probably had 30 or 40 in it or something. But was probably more. And it made me go, because I fished there. Got good memories of fishing there. And also, I know he's always put he's one of them guys that's always put a lot of effort. I think some people probably neglect what they have, take for granted what they have. They've got a lake and it's just a lake, and
it just ticks along.
Whatever. But I don't think he's been I don't really think he's like that.
Which makes it even crueler, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it is a shame, not just for the fish, but for him and everyone. I just thought I'd bring it up because it's something that at this time of year, outside of probably June, July and August, I don't think really you don't see it that often.
Last October, I don't know if you remember, October we had it like blanket cloud, like almost for the whole month over. I think that's when
the algae dies and all that sort of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know enough, but I remember being at a mixed commercial fishery, and they were just saying that they were testing with those. Is it the Polaris sort of oxygen testing things? And that was October, late October, but it was just we'd had a front over the is it anticyclonic front where it just sits over the UK, and it was just cloud. It was just still for that month, I remember. But if you're a fishery owner, you're constantly fighting battles, aren't you?
Of course.
So, yeah.
Of course. I think. I mean, like I say, I dare say it can happen at. I think probably in the winter and stuff is really unlikely, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think when oxygen is it's for me what I see. It's generally when it's really hot, and I know that when the storms and all that come, that causes it, doesn't it? It's that. It's those sort of things, but. I'm no expert on what causes them, and I know that they're almost impossible, really, I suppose, to prevent them without taking really quite drastic and taking all the trees down along one bank. And I've seen it happen. I don't like seeing it, to be honest. I think it's a shame when people butcher places, but at the same time,
they're protecting their livelihood, their investment,
and you can lose everything in.
Yeah, in a weekend.
It's not like a lot of, that's how you make your living. It's not. There's not many jobs you can do or businesses you can run where you can just lose it all and it be gone.
Yeah, through no fault of your own, really. Yeah, just through natural causes. Yeah.
So I do understand it. I do get it. And more nowadays, you see lakes with
aerators
in them. Yeah. Again, you think, oh, that looks a bit weird.
Yeah.
It adds that sort of. What would the word be?
It looks less natural, I suppose, doesn't it?
Less natural, yeah.
But yeah,
it feels like a garden pond all of a sudden.
Yeah, I fish a club water that's good. That they installed 2 solar-powered aerators, on fishery management advice, and you can see why they did it. Protecting their stock.
Yeah.
On the fishing front, on summer fishing front, Jimmy's underwater. Jimmy Armstrong's underwater's been out now for a little while. We talked about it last time we were on this podcast. I've met up with Jimmy since for a carpology interview, and we both touched on the podcast last time when I saw him. He was nervous about that one going out, wasn't he? Because it was a tough one. I mean, now that the dust has settled, is there anything we can, take away from it? Bright hook baits in summer, what are your thoughts now looking back on that one?
So he was nervous about it, yes, very much so. Really, he did not want. I think if he had had it his way, that would never have gone out. But I think that was just what was in his head from the fact that it didn't go as he wanted it to. It was really well received. It's a really good and really interesting series of films. It was a struggle by no fault of Jimmy's. The carp were the carp were really cute, and they were basically petrified of his hook baits, bright hook. He didn't fish brights constantly. They weren't popped up 2.5 inches of deck or anything like that. They were really cute carp. It shocked me. I've never sat there and seen carp behave like that. They just appeared so aware of when the hook baits were in the water, they would barely feed on certain areas of the spot. As soon as you took them out, they would. As soon as you switched them back to brown, they would. So they knew what it meant when that was in the water. And we started with them in, took them out, then they changed what they were doing, and we put them back in, and they stopped, and then we took them back. So it wasn't like we were seeing it, convinced what we'd seen was true, then doubting what we'd seen was maybe we'd got it wrong. So he would switch from his brights to his darks, and if the hook baits didn't stand out, the carp would feed almost everywhere on the spot without caring in the world. As soon as you put the bright ones back out, they would not feed near them. They would often go near them and sort of turn away and swim on and feed near the other sides of the spot. Then you take them back out the water and you put brown ones back in, and they just feed all around the rigs again. Without a shadow of a doubt, in my mind, they were scared of them. Don't get me wrong, he got picked up on one. But we had a carp feed. If anyone that's watched the films will know, we had cards. The reason I just said cards. We filled a 1 terabyte card in a day, right? Now, 1 terabyte card, if anyone knows anything about data in terms of filming, that's a lot of footage. And that was just filming me and Jimmy in the tent watching these fish. Half of it I just cut out the film because it was the same thing over and 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 over again.
Yeah.
It wasn't oh, look at that, they've moved away, they've done this. And then we didn't say that again. It was a bit like, if I'd have put the whole thing out, it'd have been about 15 hours long and we'd have sounded like broken records. So you cut everything down, pick the best bits that highlighted the situation the most. But he had fish feeding on him a hell of a lot and really, really struggled to catch them. And the part of the problem was he had a lot of bait out. Therefore, they had to eat a lot of bait if he had matching hook baits that matched what he fed, they had to eat loads of bait. But the way they often fish on there, how he's caught his fish in the past, how the guy that runs the fishery always fishes, is loads of bait with a little tiny pink tipper on effectively the same bait that they're feeding, which is pellet, interestingly. He was using a lot of pellet. But they wouldn't go near them. Even just the little pink things to start with, they wouldn't go near them. We didn't really clock it at first, and then he put like a bright orange one out, because we were like, we need something that's going to really grab their attention. And then as soon as that was in the water, mate, they were not happy about that. Kind of went round and round in circles, really. But I am an avid user of bright hook baits.
You are. I'd say you're known for it.
Yeah. And it has not left my mind, mate. It hasn't left my mind. Really hasn't. And
how venue and scenario specific can you say that is? Can you go, oh well, it's just Stanek in summer in the margins?
The case.
Does that help you when you're trying to?
I don't think that's the case though, because last year we did an underwater with Nige at a little lake in the Colne Valley. He fed. This was a tall pop up though, so everything's relative.
Was that the one on the Mets, or was that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he fished a yellow pop up over red bait, effectively, right? Or that deep red fish meal colour. Now that was a yellow pop up over pellets and boilies on the bottom, dark red. So it was a bright hook bait over a bed of feed. Those carp dropped down on that spot, mate. I don't want to know. I couldn't guess how many times. Lots throughout the duration.
You got some great footage in that.
You know, it was mega. He couldn't fish on the bottom because it was too shitty. It was twigs and leaves, and when he did put a bottom bait rig out, it was snarled up within no time. You had to fish a pop up. Nige stuck to the yellow one because that's how he fishes. So he stuck to it. But we watched that though. We watched the fish there ignore it, and now that obviously could have been. In fact, it's a pop up. Could have been that. It's quite a small hole in the weed, but they were coming down, diving in onto the spot, almost perfect for a pop up, and just never even really looked remotely like they were going to eat it. He did eventually catch one, but you have to say, they very much made the decision not to go anywhere bloody near it. They weren't spooked off of it. They were feeding all around it, but they didn't eat it, and they should have, really. The whole point of a bright one is they see it, they eat it. If they're not doing that, there's kind of no point in having it on. So
did you have brights on at Burghfield this week?
No.
So it has eaten away at you?
No. Well, yes, but so when I put loads of bait out, I fished a bright. But when I fish tigers, I just fish tigers. I've always done that. So it has eaten away. I can't get it out of my head watching those fish it makes me almost shiver at times, like thinking about it. But it's because I didn't ever think they would do that. I didn't think they would be that, like, against it. I didn't think they would be avoiding. I've never...
And if fish can have body language...
Just didn't think that, mate.
They did in that...
100%, mate.
That video, didn't they?
Nigel's one, they didn't. Like I say, this week at Burghfield, I haven't used... So it depends on how much I'm baiting, because I bait when I leave. So quite often, if I'm fishing in shallow water and stuff like that, I don't really use the pinks because the birds would just fuck me.
Yeah.
So, and historically, whenever I fish if I'm fishing with just tigers, that's all I'm putting out. I've always just used a tiger. Don't know why. Any other situation, I don't. Yeah. But I don't exclusively use brights, you know. So I used them when I baited up the last night. I used them because I'm like, okay, I've got so much bait out there now. I need one on. I need but again, they might just turn up and just ignore it. I don't know. But it take a lot more than what I've seen to stop me using them. But it does and has left a lasting, and I think about it now. I do. I sit there and I'm like, because I can't not. So it happened with Nige. They ignored the yellow pop-up. This was in the summer.
Yeah.
Okay? This is red hot in the summer. Close to that, within a matter of weeks, we did a shoot with Stokesy. The same thing happened. He had fish feeding all over him, and he had a pink and a yellow.
Is that the one where he foul hooked one in the embryo
Yes.
venue? Yeah.
And they were just
Yeah.
eating.
And they were naive fish, weren't they?
Yeah, they were young carp that hadn't barely been fished for. You know, they ignored those hook baits
Well,
almost
they plowed
entirely,
through it, didn't they? That's why he got foul hooked on the out of the
like
lip.
it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And like I say, the Nige one, I thought, okay, I think it's because it's a pop-up. It's so off the deck. They obviously didn't want to eat it like just natural. Sometimes you can put something out and they just go, oh, what's that? And they almost can't not eat it. That obviously wasn't happening. Gaz's underwater, for example, flop a pink out there. With it being spring, they seem to just, and no one's ever going to tell me that that's not the case in spring. I'm convinced that time of year, it's always, I think it's widely known that that's the best time for them. But Nigel's one, I blamed it kind of on the pop-up. I went away thinking he should have fished the tiniest pop-up he could possibly have got away with just to combat the fact he couldn't use a bottom bait. And he should have put exactly the same colour as what he was feeding, and he'd have maybe caught them quicker. Tom's one, I was like, well, maybe they're just so tuned into the pellets.
Yeah.
The guy that, the bailiff of the lake, had fished there quite a bit in the past. He catches them on yellow pop-ups, right? But I don't know what time of year this is, right? Then we did Jimmy's one. Now, the common denominator is kind of that it's all bitten in the summer.
Yeah.
But then I did my one in Wales, and they ate all of my bait there and didn't touch my hook baits until all the bait was gone.
That was winter, wasn't it?
That was
what,
December.
Yeah.
And I've had periods in the autumns and that where like I said, I don't use them all the time. I've had periods in the autumns where I've took them off and used other things, and I've caught more. But that's when I'm fishing naturals and stuff. So you kind of go, oh, is it just because they want? I think sometimes they want to eat what you're feeding them. You know, and I think maybe this is the worst thing you can. It is the what I now think more is how easily carp eat all of the bait. See, I did not used to think this, right? So my theory on how long, when you put all this bait out, in my head, we all picture how long it would take them to eat it all, right? Therefore, the idea of fishing brights was always you when they come and eat on the spot, every time they turn up to eat,
they eat the bright one.
Or at least it's more likely to be eaten because they take it with purpose. They see it and they eat it. So if only 3 fish turn up that day, every time one of those 3 fish turns up, they're probably going to see the bright. And most of the time, they're not going to be scared of it. They're probably going to eat. And hence why I fish them on the bottom a lot. Don't fish them as pop-ups a lot. So I would say in recent years, I'll probably fish them more on the bottom because I generally try to fish on gravel. Don't need to use pop-ups. So I fish them on the deck. And in that situation, you know, I'm still very much of the opinion they do the business. But maybe they don't, because I sat there in Wales, and I watched the carp eat all of my bait and just eat them last. And you can't say that when you've got a bright hook bait on a spot, you can't pretend that they don't know it's there.
Yeah, especially a pop-up that's... Yeah.
They do. And I think, well, maybe, are there times where when they want food, then that's like, maybe
Which would play into the spring theory that they just when they're just grazing or just
starting to.
Yeah.
But maybe when they want to eat,
they want to eat.
They want to eat, mate. And like I say, over the years, when I fish tigers, I always fish tigers amongst them, and I fish a lot with a lot of tigers generally when I use them. I don't put a few out. I've always put a lot out, way more than most people would. I just cast tigers over the top, but I think they're smacking bait so much faster than you imagine. It don't take carp very long to eat loads of bait. Like you can put a lot of bait on a spot. The wider you spread it, obviously it will take them longer but if you fish tight like I do, I think it's probably less necessary. And it is in my mind where I think, do I need it? Do I need it? Or do I need the hook bait on there?
The bright hook bait.
Yeah, because when they're eating, the ideal scenario for me would be now one. I'd fish a pink and I'd fish one that matches. That's very much.
See what goes.
Yeah. Whereas for a number of years, I would put 2 pinks on. And I'm not saying that I have less faith in them, because that's not the case. But I'm more aware now of how quickly carp can eat lots of bait, and I'm also aware that they can completely ignore them, and they will, and I have seen it. So you can't ignore that, and it is something to bear in mind. But in the spring, I wouldn't have any doubt at all. I really wouldn't. I think they are, and when I look back, probably most of the best times is then. So yeah, I think they certainly have their place. Coloured water as well. Like when it's crystal clear.
And it was at Stanley, wasn't it? On Jimmy's video.
It's crystal clear. Like a lot of the time, the lakes aren't that colour, and that pink in murkier water is not the same. I don't see them being anywhere near as cautious in those situations. So it's all relevant. But I think in crystal clear water, at times of year where you feel carp are ready to eat bait, they're not just going to have a mouthful and go. Then if you bait accurately, then generally that you might not catch one as quickly, but you probably will still catch one. And I said this on the last podcast. I'm starting to think, okay, does it matter if I catch one immediately or an hour later? As long as I catch one in that morning period, makes no odds anyway. Because once you catch one, the spot's done. And the last thing you want to do is end up in a situation where they are eating everything and your hook bait last, because that isn't ideal.
No,
because they may not come back and they may not eat it. So
it reduces your chances, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think for summer fishing, it's really is something I now consider, like, for sure. I can't not. I can't not.
Well, it's interesting that you're still learning. People might think you've seen all these underwaters, but something that you filmed last summer is still eating away at you. So it's
it does. It has to. I'm not that stubborn, and I'm not an idiot. So when something's plain to see, but every lake's different. So
speaking of different places, different things, what's coming up? Germany.
Yes, I'm going. So on Monday. Supposed to be. Hang on, we're supposed to go on Saturday. No, am I going on? Either. It's been changed several times, by the way. I think it's Monday. It might be Sunday. We're going to Germany.
Who are you going with?
Doesn't particularly matter what day it is, I suppose, does it? On Monday, I'm going to Germany with Alan Blair and Michael Bridger, who used to work with us.
Yeah.
So Bridger's freelance now. He's going to come and help out, and we're going to go. It's not as far as I thought. It's only 4 hours from Calais. I was like, I thought Germany was.
I suppose if North Germany isn't that far away, is it?
No. I must have gone to. I went to Germany years ago.
I mean, it's a big
with
country.
Corda, and it took a long time.
Yeah.
And I thought we were North Germany, but maybe we were South Germany.
Yeah.
Anyway, 4 hours, which is a touch. Never been to Germany to do my own filming project. Never fished there myself. went there years ago of quarter. Incredible carp in Germany. Like there really is there's some special carp out there. And I love filming with Alan. I haven't filmed with him much over the years. It's very hard to pin down, is Alan. He keeps begging me to cancel this one. He's like, if you want to cancel it, then it's be fine by me. You know, I don't mind. I could do if you cancel it, really. I'm like, not going to cancel it, mate. So, yeah, he's one of those high energy people. I love, and I feed off them sort of people so much. So,
does that make him difficult to film?
No, it makes him easy to film.
Are you not always trying to strap a microphone to him and try and go, hang on, we're not rolling it, Alan, or, you know.
It's one of them. As long as make sure you've got good audio and make sure you're rolling as much as possible, and it kind of just, everything falls into place, you know.
Yeah.
He's got to sit in a chair for a week, which I know in his head he'll be thinking is like horrible and he's going to hate it.
So it's an underwater shoot?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
So I think he'll probably be dreading that part of it. And don't be wrong, at times, if it goes wrong or goes badly, those periods are the worst. There's nothing worse than sitting in a chair staring at a screen with all that lake around you, all those opportunities around you.
Yeah.
And but we don't make our films like that. Yeah. If that is happening, we change it, we stop, we take all the cameras out and we move and we start again. We don't just go, oh, they're not here. We'll just wait for them to come back in 3 days. So I don't think he'll have too much of a problem with that, because I'm not going to sit there and let the time just pass us by without anything happening in front of the cameras. And I do know for a fact that if it goes well and there are carp in front of the cameras, he will absolutely love it, you know.
Yeah. Has he done underwater? He's not done underwater with you before, has he?
Not with us. He's just done one with Nash. I think he did a couple of days with them about 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I think he liked it. I think some of it he didn't. Again, probably the boring periods. I'm sure there was something he said about he liked and something he said he didn't like.
And are you going to a public access German water? What's the sort of deal over there?
I'm not 100% certain on the lake. So as far as I know in Germany, this is what I was always told, that catch and release is not, and you were quite shocked when I said this.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but it's probably my area of ignorance.
So I was always told that catch and release is not a thing in Germany. If you catch them, you're supposed to kill them. This isn't just specific to carp. So it's not they hate carp, you must kill carp. It's they don't like the idea of it being fun to catch the fish and put them back. So if you want to catch them, fine, but you need to catch them you need to catch them to eat them.
Yeah, for a purpose.
Same as you can't run around a forest shooting deer for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Or shooting them in the leg, letting them go and then shooting them again when they heal.
Yeah.
And I know this is a horribly graphic way, but that makes fishing sound horrible. But the way that they look at it, from as far as I've ever been told, is the idea of catching a carp, putting it back to catch it again is inhumane, and their government does not like that. But if you catch them to eat, it's okay. So we were told, God, I don't know how many years ago it was, but when we went out filming with Recorder in Germany, that place there, we was like, why don't you market this? So it's like, you can't, you can't market it. If they see pictures on the websites twice, 3 times and stuff like that, it's... So as far as I know, and I'm sure this was certainly the case at some point, fishing really, as we know it, is not a thing. It happens, obviously, and the carp anglers out there love the carp as much as we do.
Because there is a carp scene in Germany, but slightly unofficially maybe, or people turn a blind eye in certain waters.
It's just, at the end of the day, I think if a lake exists, they have, I believe they have public fisheries. I'm sure they will have syndicates as well.
Yeah.
But if it's anything like France, it's public. Most of the place, you can go to those lakes, certain ones in France, and you can catch you can eat what you catch.
Yeah.
I imagine Germany is quite similar, and you can have the fishing tickets. They're not run by specific guys. It's not like Barry runs that lake and John runs that lake.
It's more like your rod license or your carte de pêche in France.
The carp exist, but you go there to. Whereas the day ticket lakes, where you have Barry and John saying, look at these fish in our lake, come here and catch them, come back next year and catch them again, that's not a thing. But certainly that's the impression I've always been told.
Okay.
What
Well, yeah,
told,
I had no idea. If there's German listeners tuning in, let us know.
Yeah. And
so where's the venue then?
So we've got to eat what we catch. No, we won't. we'll put them back. I don't really know. I want to say near Cologne.
Okay. I drove to Cologne last year, so I can tell you it's.
Is it 4
I went
hours?
there for the football. I went for the Euro. A good city. So if Alan gets bored, I'm sure he can find a drum and bass night.
It's going to be lovely and hot. Well, it's going to be really hot here, so I imagine it will be out there. But like I say, I've never been out. I've never been fishing in Germany. I'd love to be fishing.
Do you ever take your rods on these long?
No.
Just because the temptation is.
I guess, mate. This time of year, like we're up at. So we get up about an hour before it gets light. Go to bed an hour after it gets dark. Mate, you have like 4 hours sleep a day, and 5 hours sleep this time of year tops.
And you're out there for a week.
Yeah, we're going. I'm sure it's Monday. Sunday or Monday until the following Saturday. Yeah, so 6 days. We should have 4 or 5. I think 5 days fishing is what we aimed for.
Yeah.
So it should be really good. I've got high hopes. I think I just picture the places out there being really quite unmolested, untapped, untouched by anglers. No one's gone in there and gone, oh, we need to cut this down and put these in and build this here. I feel like they'd be quite wild still.
Yeah.
Could be totally wrong, it might not be like that, but
it'll be an interesting one.
I hope so. And the German carp, a proper carp, mate. So.
Yeah, the ones I've seen, certain.
It feels odd. It feels weird to be going there.
Yeah.
And that's unusual for me.
Yeah, it's not like your run-of-the-mill French trip, is it? It's
no,
something different.
If I'm sitting here after however many years in this industry going, kind of Germany on Monday.
Yeah.
There's obviously a reason I feel like that.
Yeah.
I am really excited. And again, I really would love to do an underwater film with big uns. Because it's not easy. It's not easy to have loads of big uns in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. Typically in England, it's not like that. Which is fine, because we're not used to that.
It reflects our fishing.
We don't expect it. But imagine it. Imagine like 5 big blue German submarines like eating in front of the camera. Like that would be pretty cool. So fingers crossed. It's always a fingers crossed. Because we ain't had the prep, the planning, bit of planning, I suppose. But it's not laid on a plate for you, and you can't do anything about it. You have to be there to start.
Yeah.
And we've only got 5-6 days, so.
Well, best of luck with that one. On the edit side of things, Scott Lloyd, A1 Pits. How's that progressing in terms of the edit? What are you excited about that one coming out?
It's going to be excellent. I think it's the best underwater film we've done. We shot it in the middle of May. I think it's going to be the best one we've done yet.
Some people might be surprised. Scott at a day ticket fishery, not in Oxfordshire. Scott's a hugely talented angler, but it shows a bit of versatility from him.
Yeah, he's proud to be Northern,
yeah,
as all Northerners are. And we wanted to do something in the North. He really wanted to do something in the North, which is unusual for a Northerner, because normally they want to go south. So we went to A1 Pits, which apparently is in the North. I don't think it is.
Some people say Midlands.
I'm saying it's Midlands.
East Midlands, yeah.
It takes me 2.5 hours to get there. If it takes me 2.5 hours, it ain't in the North. But I said this to the people down there, and they all said to me, it is in the North.
Did they?
And I couldn't really understand a lot of them, so they were definitely Northerners. So
inclusive.
Yeah, but it's a really cool complex of lakes, A1 Pits.
I mean, it's been on the Carp circuit for years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And people, it's noticeable because if you are on the A1 and you see a load of bivvies and sometimes camper vans, sometimes even caravans, I think.
That's exactly that. They were there.
Then people notice it and you go, what lake's that? And if you know that it's A1, then and it's been around for decades, hasn't it? So
yeah, it's from what I can make out, mate, it's been a really popular place over the years. Certainly seems that way now. Lots of fish movement between the lakes due to the floods. What river is it next to? The Severn? Trent.
Trent. Yeah.
Yeah, right next to the Trent, or right near the Trent, which floods obviously. And the fish go between the lakes. They go from one to the other. So you never really know which one's in which lake, and that's always quite cool. As a carp angler, you like that. Could also be complete hell if you fish the wrong lake with the carp you want to catch. But they were really keen for us to do it because they thought maybe we'd see.
Yeah, some unknown stock, or yeah.
And there's a lot of new fish in there, but there's a lot of old fish. So you get that mixture of different ages, different types,
different behaviours.
And then one of the bigger originals pops up. You're like, oh, look at that, it's an original. So it was cool, but really, really nice time of year. The best time of year to make a film, like beautiful to shoot in. You know, so as far as watching something, mid-May,
yeah,
it's beautiful. It's lovely. You know, everything just looks nice. It's all... So the vibe is good. Scott's obviously great on camera, entertaining guy. Plenty to say, plenty to prove, and it was action-packed, which is always good. You know, I love the old struggle to catch for 3 days and then catch one at the end. You know, and that's that's the kind of fishing I like. So I don't want it to be too busy all the time. But actually, mate, when you sit down and edit something or watch it back, really, especially in terms of underwater, there's nothing better than just constantly being carp on the screen. Every minute there isn't a carp on the screen is it's kind of a bit in terms of underwater. So
yeah,
and this was busy. So yeah, I've got there's a few real mad moments in that film, or in those films. It will definitely be more than one. And that's the next thing I'm going to start editing. So once I get back from Germany, I'll go back to the Burghfield as quickly as I can with my monstrosity. And yeah, I'll start that.
And then another popular thing, I'm sure, you're going fishing with Gemma again.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that was really popular. Again, it was a little bit different, I suppose. But Gem's quite a character. Like, not if Gem was different in terms of her personality.
And for those who listening might not know, Gemma's your wife.
Sorry, Gemma's my wife. Yeah,
There might be newcomers to this channel.
Yeah, and so Gemma is my wife, and yeah, she's got a bit about her. If you know what I mean. Some people are quiet, they're timid, they wouldn't want. Whereas my missus is not like that. So she makes for good viewing, and I can take the piss out of her, and she doesn't cry about it. She'll give it back, and obviously people. We did it once to see if people would like it. I wanted to take her fishing. She's never comes with me, mate. Like, I've been with her 13 years. There's no way she's been fishing with me 5 times. Absolutely no way.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't take her. She doesn't really want to come, but she's also not. It's not because I think she just likes it when I'm gone and she gets her time. So it's not that she doesn't, if I said, do you want to come fishing? She's like, no. I just don't ask her. She doesn't particularly want to come because she's not a fish woman. But she did for a period say, oh, take me. And I was like, okay, because she'll love it. Like, what non-anglers get is no real perception of, other than going on holiday. When you're going on holiday, you are on holiday, so it's not the same as being somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get that view of other. So I go to places in France and I come back and I'm like, you should come, you would love it. Because I know what she's like. I know she would appreciate it, like what the things I see and do. Or all of us carp anglers that go and do that kind of fishing will see. So I took her and I thought we'll film it. And like I say, everybody loved it. We had loads and loads of really, really good feedback. And people constantly have asked
for a sequel,
which Gemma absolutely loves it, bathing in glory, because she thinks she's the most popular person ever to be on Cypography, other than Tell probably. She thinks she's more popular than Tell. Either way, so yeah, she's been on at me. Oh, and every time someone messages her, she'll be like, look. Another fan, this guy wants me to do it. But obviously the nice thing was, lots of people watch that with their missus or their girlfriend, their wife, whatever. Whereas normally they wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So it would be, matey sits on the sofa watching Cypography, and probably his wife is in another room waiting for him to stop watching it. But I think with that film, some of the blokes would have gone, oh, look, he's took his missus with him. Do you want to watch it? So it was like, or maybe they walk through the room. Normally, just they'd see some smelly old man on the screen. And they think, is that a girl in your thing? Yeah. So I think it had an effect on lots of couples who I got loads of messages. Oh, I take my wife, and it's been asked for, and if like we kind of always say it, but if people ask for something, and it's obvious they want to do it, us to do it, we will do it because we can make any videos we want really. So, and I loved it as well. I did actually really enjoy it. It was a bit frustrating at times, but I liked it. I liked just not being fishing. It was a bit weird. They're quite odd.
It wasn't as intense a fishing experience.
I know.
For you?
It was. I just kind of like teaching her, showing her.
Yeah.
I got a bit of satisfaction out of it. It was quite enjoyable to.
You want to proudly show off your hobby. I took my missus fishing a couple of weeks ago, and you want to proudly show off what you do, don't you?
And she knows.
Let them into your world, I guess.
Yeah, and she has she has very much a big part in Cypography as a whole. Like, she knows what fishing is, but without having. She knows what it looks like.
Yes.
But she doesn't know what the core of it is.
Yeah.
And she appreciates the things that we see. Some people, in fact, I dare say, every single human being, take them to some of the places that I go fishing, show them it. It'd take a very strange person not to go, wow, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Or this is nice. So, but it's going to be good. I don't really know where we're going yet. Be back to France somewhere. But she caught what did she catch last time? 40. She had a 42-pound mirror,
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, she had a 42-pound mirror last time. So, I think.
Hope for a repeat.
Yeah, and we were trying to catch a bigger carp than Bridger because they used to sit next to each other in the office. And I think his PB's 46 pound globally.
Yeah.
So I think she said
PB rivalry.
Yeah, I think she said, I catch bigger fish than that. And I was like, to be fair, you probably could if I took you to France. So, but she didn't. She didn't quite manage it the first time.
Well, that's what a sequel's for, to get redemption.
Yeah, there we go. That'd be good.
So while you're searching for a new PB for Gemma, then potentially you're also searching for a new member of staff?
Yes. I really want to. Well, I'm really, 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 really considering, and I've recently come to the conclusion that we could massively benefit from a top level cameraman and editor. And as much as we're more than capable, like between us, we can make films, we can shoot, we can edit. There's not a lot, I suppose there's not a lot that we feel we can't do, but at the same time, I don't think any one of us is like really, really good in terms of, probably more the editing, I think, probably more the editing side of things, but elements of shooting as well. Now, because we are all very capable, it's the things that we can't do that would then really elevate what we are able to do as a company. It's like the lots of little things that make a massive difference. And I'm really of the opinion now that bringing someone in that I would like to be able to learn from people. I'm self-taught. I've never been to college. I haven't been down that road. Most of the things I've learned over the years have been learnt slowly, but surely. You pick a little bit up here, a little bit up there. Sometimes I take the time out to go, right, I want to learn this. So I just spend a bit of time doing it. And it's kind of the same for everyone here. And like I say, we're all more than capable, but I see things. And it's styles. It's my style of editing, the way I like to shoot and edit is one way. The way Craig likes to shoot and edit is another way. But having someone that can do both of those things and then bring more to the table. Ultimately, I want our stuff to be as good as it can be. And we're definitely always moving forward in what we've done. I know that for sure. I'm really confident in that our films and our editing, everything is always progressing. And we're at the point now where I'm like, okay, what what do we have to do to progress further? Because I don't want to go to college and I don't want to sit on YouTube learning things slowly. I want to go, okay, we want to make things better. We want to be able to improve this and this. And having the right person would not only enable us to do that, but enable us to do it straight away. There's no time like the present. And that person can then help us, teach us a few bits here and there. But ultimately, it makes our films better, and it makes our production more enjoyable, and that's important, for us. So, if anyone is listening to this that maybe knows somebody, maybe you are that person. If you feel that you could come into Cypography tomorrow, take on big projects in terms of editing and filming, and really bring something to the table, then by all means get in touch. info@Cypography, in fact, Elliott@cypography.co.uk. Send it straight to me. Then I'd love to hear from you. We do some really cool stuff, and I think anyone who is into their fishing would enjoy working with us. I really do. I think, but the important thing is that I want this person to be. I don't just want another editor or another cameraman. We have that. It's someone that's really quite accomplished and knowledgeable, and can bring something really bring something to the table. That's what we're looking for. And I think it'll only make us stronger. It'll make our films better. And ultimately, there's nothing better than sitting down and watching something back and going, oh, look at that.
Yeah, the best it could be.
Yeah, and I know our stuff could be incrementally better. Little things that will ultimately make a big difference when they're in abundance, and that's what we want to add. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because you're always looking at member feedback.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
We've got some conflicting feedback.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a good idea to bring in a little section where because like I said, we always look at our feedback and we ask for it all the time from people. So I thought we'd every month maybe bring in a bit of bad and a bit of good. You've got to have both.
Well, I've got them both in front. What do you want first?
Bad, but I should point out we don't really get much bad feedback. So when I say bad, it will be like just not good maybe at times. But
I mean, the bad one ends with great videos. Thanks. I'll say that's the last bit, and it's fairly short, so I might read it all out too. This is the bad one, but fair play to Elliott for putting this up there. Hi Elliott, thanks for the email. I guess you've had an email exchange. The reason for cancellation, so it's a former member, sadly. The reason for cancellation is the background music. It's too loud, mate. I have tinnitus problems and cannot hear what you're saying. If I turn it up, it's too loud for me. Maybe just have music when you're not talking. Great videos, thanks. So he ends on a positive. What do you say to it? Some people might agree with him.
That's the thing, and that's kind of why, because weirdly...
Or her.
I think it was a him, to be fair. The music isn't too loud. I think the problem is the tinnitus, and I know that's not his fault. But I hope the problem is the tinnitus, because I'm pretty sure our background music isn't too loud, and I've never had anyone say...
You might get a flood of emails
There we
now.
go.
You're opening yourselves up for it.
But the other day, someone said to me, I always have to turn my telly down when I put your stuff on. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, if I'm watching telly and then I put Cypography on, he said I have to like grab the remote and turn it down. I was like, right. So obviously I've always made sure everything's kind of as loud as it can be before.
Yeah, it's not peaking.
Not distort or peak,
but,
but as loud as it can be, so that, because sometimes, like I say to you, I listen to my phone all the time. I've listened to things in the past and they're not loud enough.
Yeah.
But a man, said, oh yeah, I have to turn my telly down. You're like, it blows up my... And then I thought, oh, okay. And then this bloke said, your music's too loud. So if you watch Cypography regularly and you have a problem with our music levels, then by all means tell us, because we're not aware of that problem, but would like to know if there is one.
Hopefully they can hear you saying that.
Yes, mate's just had to turn his TV down to hear me say it.
There is some good news though, isn't there? Some good feedback, and it's quite long, so I might not read it all. And obviously, you've read this yourself, but this is a lovely piece. Someone who just said they'd lost the buzz in the UK, they'd found it too cluttered and difficult, but had watched your Brexit videos and you're sort of pioneering stuff in Europe, and he went away and sort of followed your lead and had a 64-pound 2-ounce mirror from a public lake in France. By the looks of it. I'm just scrolling. It's a couple of paragraphs, but just said that it's really helped with his mental health. And he begins by saying he wouldn't usually take time to message you. I mean, that feedback must be nice.
Yeah, like you take for granted I don't ever sit there and think that our videos will have that kind of effect on people. I think you'd maybe be a bit weird to think they would. Think that would be, it would be stranger to think that your videos are going to have this profound.
But when they do,
yeah, of course. Like it's a long message, and it's a really nice message, and that we get them over the years. But you don't get that every single week,
There's a line here, it just says, without those videos, I definitely would not have felt encouraged or inspired to get out there and catch public lake fish. So I'd just like to say a huge thank you.
Yeah.
It's lovely, isn't it?
And it's like I say, it's brilliant. It's so nice to hear. And you take for granted probably the things we do. Like when you go and do this kind of stuff all the time, like, don't get me wrong, like we know when something's really, but you never sit there and think.
You're not cynical about